In this tutorial, we will investigate adding findings through a checklist to an evaluation. Again, from the overview page of an evaluation, choose the Findings tab. A previous video has already shown how to add an area description and findings through the barrier finder, drop-downs, and barrier search. In this case, we're going to add a finding by using one of the many checklists within BlueDAG. Let's first start with adding an area description. From the area description, we have the ability to add a finding, as we showed in the other video, using the barrier finder drop-down or search capability, or we have the ability to add a checklist. In this case, let's use a checklist. I'm going to select a simple checklist for mirror. Here we can see all the checklists that are available, applicable standards. These standards must meet one of the standards that have been assigned to an evaluation. And we have the ability to search directly on title. We also have the ability to expand the available checklists to include all checklists with the same standards as in the evaluation, but may exist outside of this evaluations group. If you remember one of our previous videos, this evaluations group is set to facility. By clicking the blue button, we are able to show all checklists regardless of group type. Let's select our mirror. From here, you will see that the restroom area description has carried over. We can add a comment. And move on to the next and first question. Where is the mirror located? I'm going to choose above a lavatory or countertop. Is the bottom edge of the reflecting surface greater than a maximum height of 40 inches above the finished floor? I'm going to say yes. And then I'm going to indicate that it was actually 42 inches. I'm also going to click and give photo evidence to my finding. As soon as the green check mark is complete, you're good to move forward. One thing to note about photos, you can add as many photos as you'd like for any given question. You can just continually drag and drop or click the field to add new photos. If your answer is associated with a finding, the first photo uploaded will become the main finding photo. All other photos will be in the additional photos area. I can previous and go back and review each question I've answered, or I can jump to the end and save. You remain on the evaluation barriers page until you return to your evaluation. You have the ability to add any checklist and assign it to any area description available. If the area description you need is not available, use this plus button by the area descriptions to add it. Then move on to your checklist. Let's return to the evaluation and see how our checklist has populated our finding. Navigating to the Findings tab, we see that we now have a finding under restroom that is in red. This is denoting that this particular finding came from a checklist and should be reviewed. Opening up the edit screen, we see that the photo that I failed to rotate is showing up as the main finding photo. We see our area description of restroom has come across, and our barrier finder is populated for us. The as-built condition has come over. I've reviewed the finding and find that I do not need to give it any edits. I see the citation and barrier standard that is referenced for this finding. Adding a budget range, looks like all they would really need to be in compliance is to move the hardware. Assigning a priority. This particular finding does not have a figure associated with it. I don't feel the need to add any notes. Should I want to add additional photos, I can do so here as we did in previous videos. But for now, this looks pretty good, so I will hit save. Note, the text is no longer red for our finding. It is turned to black. Green highlight indicates which finding you are on. One additional note regarding checklists. If you choose to add a checklist from the finding screen, you will automatically be given your latitude and longitude location. If you complete a checklist or close a checklist out and decide to add a new checklist, you will get a Choose Your Location pop-up box. Here, what is being asked is for you to geolocate the checklist in question. If I were to use a bench, simply clicking the map will update the latitude and longitude, in which I can tell it to use these coordinates. If you do not update the coordinates default to that of the evaluation's coordinates, which were created upon evaluation creation. Let's go ahead and add a bench real quick. I'm going to associate it with the correct area. Choose my answer carefully. Upload my evidence photo. This checklist happened to be fairly simple, so we will save. We can notice that both checklists, our bench checklists and our mirror checklists, present themselves here. Using the pin, you can update the geolocation simply by clicking on the map. You can edit the checklist, or you can delete this checklist. Note that deleting a checklist that is associated with a finding will give you a warning message. Deleting this checklist will delete the finding associated. Returning to the evaluation and the findings tab, we can see the new finding that was created for the bench. Note that if I attempt to delete a finding that is associated with a checklist answer, I am required to edit the checklist in order to remove the finding. Simply editing and saving will remove the red text. If I give the finding a status of corrected and save, the color of the finding becomes blue. This indicates that the finding barrier has been corrected by the customer or client. You have the option of including corrected findings within the evaluation report. One additional piece of functionality is your navigation buttons up here. Your next, previous, last, and first, just for ease of viewing. And don't forget, you can reorder your area descriptions and findings simply by clicking the reorder button. This concludes this tutorial.